Can a few seemingly innocent words shatter a billion-dollar legacy and send shockwaves through the heart of Hollywood? It sounds impossible, but that's exactly what the controversy surrounding Disney's live-action Snow White remake might be doing. At the center of this storm is its young star, Rachel Zegler, whose comments about the classic tale sparked an online wildfire that threatened to burn down years of anticipation and potentially cost a studio billions. The fuse was lit during press appearances. Zegler, stepping into the iconic role, didn't just talk about the new film. She spoke about the original 1937 animated classic in ways that immediately raised eyebrows. Phrases like calling the original prince basically a stalker weren't just casual remarks. For many, they felt like a direct dismissal of the romance that was central to the story for generations. She made it clear this Snow White wasn't waiting for a prince or focused on love, but on leadership and becoming a strong, independent ruler. These comments, repeated in various interviews, were meant to highlight the remake's modern take, but for fans who grew up cherishing the original, they landed very differently. It felt like a rejection of the magic that made them fall in love with Snow White in the first place. But the internet rarely hears nuance, and these statements weren't just heard, they were amplified. Short clips were ripped from interviews and stitched into viral montages across social media platforms like TikTok, often stripped of their full context. Suddenly, Zegler's words were everywhere, fueling immediate outrage. The online reaction machine kicked into high gear, coining nicknames like Snow Woke and accusing the film and its star of injecting unnecessary contemporary talking points into a beloved, simple fairy tale. The speed and intensity of the backlash were dizzying, turning isolated soundbites into the entire narrative around the film almost overnight. Then, the online detectives started digging deeper. Users pored over every past interview, panel appearance, and red carpet chat, looking for inconsistencies. They uncovered moments where Zegler spoke fondly of riding the Snow White attraction at Disney World, contrasting sharply with other times she claimed the 1937 film terrified her as a child. For many watching online, these perceived contradictions weren't just harmless shifts in memory, they were seen as calculated attempts to tailor her story to whoever was listening, fueling accusations of opportunism and further eroding trust. The perception, true or not, became a harsh reality in the unforgiving landscape of online fan culture. The drama wasn't confined to angry fans and online forums. Whispers began circulating within Hollywood itself. Reports surfaced, though their certainty remains debated, that actress Jenna Ortega offered a subtle critique of Zegler's approach, framing the controversy as something more than just fans versus a star, but perhaps a disagreement among peers about how to handle classic properties. While the specifics are murky, it added another layer of perceived conflict. Industry commentators watching this unfold issued stark warnings. In the age of social media, an actor's public image and unguarded comments could tank a production long before opening night. Bad buzz, they cautioned, was the quickest way to sink a movie's potential before anyone even saw it. Behind the polished facade of Disney, this online firestorm reportedly triggered internal panic. Emergency briefings were held as executives debated damage control. Should they try to shift the marketing focus away from Zegler? Should they lean harder on promoting co-stars like Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen and carries less controversy? Some even speculated about delaying the film's release entirely, hoping the negative buzz would cool down. These weren't just casual conversations, these were high-stakes deliberations with potentially billions of dollars on the line. Every potential plan was costly, and none guaranteed success in stopping the bleeding caused by a relentless negative narrative already dominating headlines. To truly grasp the ferocity of the pushback, you have to understand why the original Snow White isn't just another old cartoon to so many people. In 1937, Walt Disney risked everything, mortgaging his home, borrowing heavily, to fund the first full-length animated feature film ever made. Skeptics in Hollywood called it Disney's folly, predicting financial ruin. Instead, it became a cultural phenomenon, proving animation could convey deep emotion and cementing Disney's place in cinematic history. It laid the groundwork for every princess story that followed and became a cherished part of childhoods across generations. For millions, revisiting Snow White isn't just watching a movie, it's reconnecting with deeply personal memories, family traditions, and a foundational piece of their own history. When Zegler's comments were perceived as dismissive of that origin story, it felt like more than just updating a narrative. For many, it felt like someone casually discarding or even criticizing something sacred and deeply personal. Her defenders argue fiercely that stories must evolve to reflect modern values, pointing out that contemporary young audiences benefit from seeing heroines focused on ambition and leadership rather than just romance. They frame the controversy as a necessary clash between progress and outdated ideals. Yet, even voices sympathetic to modernization worried the execution felt heavy-handed, as though the film was trading one simplistic message, love conquers all, for another equally blunt one, independence at any cost, potentially losing the heart and balance that makes a story truly resonate. Meanwhile, the potential financial fallout reached far beyond the opening weekend box office. Live-action remakes bank heavily on built-in audience goodwill, and alienating the core fan base could spell disaster for ticket sales. But the consequences ripple much wider. Disney's empire is built on universal appeal, offering escapism for everyone. Critics argue recent projects, including the perceived approach to Snow White, have leaned too hard into contemporary social commentary, dragging the brand into culture war skirmishes it historically avoided. If Snow White becomes synonymous with this controversy, it could contaminate perceptions of future films, merchandise lines, theme park attractions, and licensing deals for years, potentially costing the company billions in lost goodwill and revenue. Shareholders have noticed, and pressure is mounting on Disney leadership. Caught in the very eye of this multi-million-dollar storm is Rachel Zegler herself. Every public appearance, every interview, every social media post is now scrutinized with intense skepticism. Her tone, her facial expressions, her exact word choices. Everything is dissected online and in the press. Public relations experts are reportedly advising caution, suggesting measured statements acknowledging the original's impact while celebrating the new film. But it's a tightrope walk. Admit too much, and you validate the critics. Say too little, and you appear dismissive. For a young actress on the cusp of potentially career-defining stardom, navigating this impossible PR balancing act in the harsh glare of the global spotlight is an unenviable position. The traditional media machine, hungry for engagement, inevitably jumped onto the viral trend, pouring gasoline on the fire. Morning shows hosted commentators debating Disney's direction. Opinion pieces dissected the merits of updating fairy tales. Cable news pundits framed the saga as evidence of broader cultural shifts or declines. Each segment drove more traffic back to social platforms, where clips were further isolated, repackaged, and fed back to users already primed for outrage. The narrative cycle became self-sustaining, a feedback loop of negativity that completely overshadowed any discussion about the film's cinematography, costumes, musical numbers, or the countless hours of artistry that went into its production. For the creative team still working on the film in post-production, layering visual effects, and refining the score, this must create an unbearable cloud of uncertainty. Will their months of dedication, talent, and hard work be completely overshadowed by a handful of viral remarks? Will families hesitate to buy tickets, unsure if this new version aligns with the values they associate with the original? These questions ripple through every department, from licensing deals to theme park planning, illustrating how a single misstep in public perception can unleash a tidal wave of negative consequences threatening potential billions. There's a strange double-edged possibility some pundits raise. Maybe all this controversy will actually help by generating massive awareness and curiosity. Perhaps people will flock to theaters just to see what all the fuss is about, to judge the film for themselves. History offers mixed results on this gamble. Negative press occasionally converts to ticket sales, but sustained hostility usually dampens turnout. The ultimate decider will likely be word of mouth from early viewers. If the movie somehow manages to deliver genuine magic, despite the pre-release noise, audiences might forgive the baggage. If it falls short, the backlash could intensify exponentially. Ultimately, the Snow White saga has become far bigger than just one actress, one movie, or one studio trying a remake. It stands as a stark case study for Hollywood and beyond in the volatile, often baffling intersection of art, commerce, and digital discourse in the 21st century. A single sentence, spoken casually in an interview, can become a global headline, spark furious debates, force multi-million-dollar strategic shifts, and dramatically alter career trajectories overnight.